Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 28th, 2022 work session of the Penfield Planning Board. We'll begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Fair number of applications on our agenda tonight. So Doug, you want to, oh, wait a minute, we got to take the roll. Lori, would you take the roll? I told you.
Sure. Hetzke.
Hetzke, here.
Aken.
Aken, here.
Kanauer.
Kanauer, here.
Tydings.
Tydings, here.
Sangster.
Sangster, here.
Weissar.
Weissar, here.
O'Connor.
O'Connor, here.
Dubrek.
Dubrek, here.
Gray, here.
Okay. Doug.
All right, so we don't have minutes ready for you yet. Hope to have those for you guys at the next meeting. They were rather lengthy. So starting out with our first application, PathStone. Peter Vars and Mike Bogojewski here. They have provided a rendering and a fly-through. It was something the board had requested previously to be able to see the development through from the ground level and sort of
A virtual tour.
virtual tour. Yes. So Peter, if you'd like to.
Yeah, so, in all due respect for your format this evening, obviously we're not going to do a formal presentation or anything. The only thing I would like to do just as a quick introduction on this video, that's about a minute long, is just to preface it by this video has been prepared with a lot of input and discussion on our design team. Really, the last 2 weeks, we spent a lot of time talking about what we've been hearing over from the last meeting, from the extensive PRC meeting that we had that was attended by the planning board chair and the supervisor, but also all the input we've heard from this board over the last several months. And there was two themes that we felt we wanted to make sure we addressed with this video. One was a theme of that this project, that it creates that village feel, that community feel. And we think the video does an excellent job of showing that and illustrating that. But then the other thing was how does this project match up or comply with the design manual itself? And one of the terms we've heard a couple times, especially recently from individuals, was that this district has to be something where you can live, work, and play. And we think the video is going to do a great job of showing how all of these components that we've prepared, or that PathStone's proposing in this project, how they are all linked together. And I ask you to pay attention of how the pedestrian experience does that, because that's been one of the key concerns also, is get a feel. I think you'll get a great feel with that. So with that, out of respect for your time and long agenda, we'll press play.
Thanks, Peter. Did you bring popcorn?
So just the last thing I would like to say, so obviously this video has been provided to you, so you will have it. And then there's also 8 snapshots we have taken that you'll have that kind of hit the highlights of it also. So I just want to make you aware of that.
Not to put you on the spot. How are you at voiceover? Like if we watch it again,
Sure. Yeah. Well, it was funny because
Can
we
you explain
watching it with the music
where we're
background,
coming
and
in?
we didn't realize. So yes, yeah, let's do that. And then if you can pause at certain times. Okay. And so we'll pause it right when we turn in off of 250. So if you pause here, so this is as you come in off 250. So as you turn into this project, this is what you will see. And we think this does an excellent example of, or an excellent job of illustrating what we talk about, that village feel, that community feel, in many instances. Part of that is you've got the building massing right along the street line. You've got that village street feel. You've got the on-street parallel parking. You've got the amenities and the sidewalk amenities and the street trees on the right side. The people you see gathering right there at the corner, that's the restaurant area. In other words, as you come in, there will be activity to your right. You'll have the building massing on the left. And also, just as importantly, as you can see on the horizon, you have the focal point of building 2. You can keep going, Mike. And right, and then as you can see, now your eye comes to the second building. Stop, please. One thing to recognize on that right side is what we've done there, because if we recall back to the sketch plan, that was one large parking area, and it was the concern of this board that parking was too much of a mass, break it up. And if you recall the site plan, what we've done is we followed the design manual patterns, which is creating small parking areas that are interrupted or broken apart by green spaces, such that as you come in, your eye is not drawn to, or the parking is not the dominant thing you see, because you have the buildings, like I said, in the horizon, you have the massing of the building along your left side, but then the street trees and landscaping, you've got that strong pedestrian link along the other side of the street too, that brings it all together. And as I said at the beginning, that how this pedestrian connectivity of everything is really uniting everything, that you're not spread out, you don't get that feel at all. Go ahead, please, Mike. So then as you come in, and then now, if you'd stop, please, now it opens up into that main north-south corridor of the pedestrian way, going all the way from the YMCA with the goal of reaching all the way up to Atlantic Avenue and points north from there. So now you've come in, now you've kind of hit what we kind of have been talking about all along, that key intersection of this project. And what's important here, and I think this is one of the keys of this PathStone proposal that they bring before you, that you haven't had before in the previous project to the south and the concerns that were raised there. Because one of the key things we heard was vision equals reality. That are we promising you something that is not going to happen? And what this does, that one of the key differences here is, as you can see, and it's been one of the foundations of our application, is that public space, the dog park area and the hard court flex court space, those are defined, identified uses. Those will be constructed with the beginning of the project. And as you can see here, how that space links with the building to the left, if you're looking on the screen, links with that main north-south pedestrian corridor, links with the outdoor areas along the first floor, our commercial space of the next building. And really, I'm going to probably say this term a lot this evening, is how this is a snapshot of live, work, play. Think about a lot of urban settings. What do a lot of urban areas try to do? They try to introduce outdoor activity area into the project. They want it because they know that's what's important to the residents and it's important to the public. And that's why we feel strongly that it should be incorporated as part of the non-residential use, that is supported by some of the definitions in the code that I know that you're looking into. But to me, I think a picture's worth 1,000 words here. It shows why it should be incorporated as part of the overall mixed use because of how it integrates. And the other thing I would say, those two types of uses are known uses that have a proven track record, that they attract people, they attract activity. This isn't just creating an open green space with a if come, or well, we could do this there, or we could do that there. We know what we're doing here, and it's proven. Go ahead, Mike. You can just keep this playing. So as you, get a more focus on then how this pedestrian way, this is now heading north. So this is the experience. You can pause here, Mike, please. Now you've got the experience of how the commercial space along the first floor of what we call Building 2, how that's now integrated into the walkway, how it relates to the public space, how you've got the second commercial building up. Now that's now on your horizon. That's now your focal point. Gives you a destination at the northern end of the project. Creates a jump-off point for maybe that next parcel that goes north. But how this main pedestrian thoroughfare creates connectivity for all the space. I think what's really great about this, what this shows, is really how this just all blends together. The concern that we've heard about, well, things seem to be spread out, but I think this shows that through the design is how we've integrated everything so that we are not creating distinct separate uses that are off on their own. If anything, this shows how it all blends together and therefore unifies it. That in this picture, and again, I'm going to go to that term again, you have live, work, and play. In this picture, I think you do get a community feel. You do get that feel of the public interacting with residents, interacting with workers, interacting with visitors. Go ahead, Mike. So this, you can keep this playing. So this is now going south. It's just a different view. But again, stop here, Mike. I think what's important here, it shows how that outdoor space that would be planned as part of the commercial space, again, how that integrates. And I think, to me, I take this picture, I think that's something you could see in any developed urban setting. I mean, it's a very common experience. If you walk through Washington, D.C. or other urban areas, and I know that's been one of the thoughts. That this is a common theme where they look for this space to put a turf field in or a dog park or something like that. And that's why we think it's a key component. Go ahead, Mike. And so this is the area, the green space area. Stop here, Mike. So we're kind of where we are. We're kind of on the roof of the restaurant right here. But this shows, again, the outdoor congregating space linking up with the streetscape, excuse me, of the Village Street, the other commercial building up there. So again, you've got that street, that connectivity between the commercial spaces. You've got gathering spaces, public spaces in between, and then again, you've got the building massing along the entry road. Go ahead. And so, stop here. So this is your view looking east. So you would now be in that gazebo area, the garden areas, the restaurant building, which again, I reinforce, that's a known tenant, okay? They know they have a food operator ready to occupy that space. So we are able to say it is planned to be a restaurant. And that's the other thing, PathStone, luckily, I guess I would say, they've got their restaurateur ready to go. Their commercial space along the building, most of that's been identified for office users. So we know we're going to get that mix of people, not like, oh, we'll create the space and we'll see who takes it. We know this now. The other part that I think is important with here, and this was, again, the thought process on the design team, the gazebo in this garden area, this is a rough rendering because we haven't gotten far enough with the tenant here as to the design, but we see this as being somewhat of an agrarian look, and we think with, between the gardens, the building, but more importantly, the backdrop, as you rise up to go up Sweets Corners in Dublin, that this fits in very much with that view that you have from this property to the east, to the Wickham property, and then up to Oak and Apple. So that's going to be one of those key links that I know Chris Lopez had mentioned in his memo. Go ahead, please. And then this is just heading south through this garden area into the gazebo area, and then showing again how it links up with the building project on its site. So the last thing I would say is I think what this does is if you've noticed, because I know one of the concerns we've heard was, well, geez, is this just another apartment project? But I think with what the architectural team especially has done here, and what PathStone has done with attracting their tenants and commitments they're making to the open space, is really that they're creating the outdoor space and the spaces such that you don't get the sense that this is just an apartment project. Yes, there's residential mass here. Yes, there's, the number of units there. But that's not, because of how we've created this space, in our opinion, is we haven't made that the focal point. And I think that's, for us, what this video does. What we hope is that you see as the key takeaway is that the residential use, while it's a driving force, is not the primary focal point. We really believe that area between the north-south corridor and the Village Street, that is your focal point, and that's where the effort and the time has been spent to create that space and create that community feel that we know is one of the core principles of the development manual or the district. So how was that for a voiceover?
It was good.
Okay.
It was good. Thank you. And thanks for the video. I appreciate the efforts. It does help bring the project into a better idea of what you're proposing.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate it. Nice job. on
Thank
that.
you. Thank Mira.
Mira.
Mira's team did a great job.
I did not do the video.
You didn't do it?
I know people who do it.
All right, well, it looks good. Okay. We're still at the determination stage.
Yeah, so I was talking to Doug today, so that's something we're still taking a look at on the issue of the percentage of non-residential under our code and looking at the arguments that Peter set forth in his letter.
Yep.
So,
Okay. All right. So is this a MP, and that wouldn't be an MP3. It would be a, what is it? What kind of format is this? Is it
I don't know the video, but I have sent it to
before.
the.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
MP3?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we want to, is it huge size?
It's
Or
like 520
No, it's like
megs.
250.
Or no, that's right, it got reduced,
Okay.
yeah.
It's like 250.
We compressed it.
But we can put it on a drive and
Yes, it
access
could be
so-
put on our shared drive for you guys.
Okay, good. Great.
And there is music to it, just so you know.
Sure there is.
Yeah, no, there is. Or you can just play the recording of this meeting.
Right.
With my voiceover.
Right.
Okay.
That we could do. All right, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Just one thing, Peter, there's no more daycare center involved in this, correct?
Those negotiations are ongoing.
Yes.
Oh, they're still ongoing, okay,
Yeah.
I thought, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, just a reminder that any participation has to be recorded by a microphone, so people can feel free to come up to a table if they need to add anything. Thank you.
So I'll answer that question. So the negotiations are ongoing with the daycare provider.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time,
Thanks.
everybody.
Oh, sure, thank you. Okay, so based on,
so you're going to table it for further review based on
Yeah.
the new information and the waiting the information on the determination.
okay. All right, I will move to table based on our review and outcome of determination of what constitutes non-residential. We have a second?
I'll second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tydings, aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Arbors.
Okay, moving into the Arbors. All right, since our last meeting, staff, in consultation with council, and has provided what we consider to be a determination on what the planning board's purview is when it comes to lighting, specifically lighting within the mixed-use district. Let's see if I can find my copy. So ultimately, I think, as best in the summary is that it was staff's determination that lighting is really a discretionary tool of the planning board. It's not identified with any explicit requirements. Within the manual, the code refers to the manual. The manual's left to some degree vague. It is our belief that that vagueness was intended to allow greater flexibility with the unique design and needs of each development, since the intention was that not every development within the mixed-use district was going to be the exact same thing, and that the code specifically provides that lighting is a component that the planning board should review and take into consideration when conducting the review of a site plan application on its way to site plan approval, but that there isn't a specific, thou shall place lighting every X feet of this type, of this lumen and intensity Kelvin. So that is staff's determination. Earlier today, we did get a letter from the applicant stating that they would like to rescind the previously submitted photometric plan indicating lighting around the entire multi-use trail on the property, and that would not be something they'd be interested in considering.
Okay. Why?
Primarily, I believe it comes down to cost. In order to provide lighting around the entire trail, as we're looking, reviewing the project overall, in addition to, specifically phase one that is for final approval now, is that the multi-use trail is around 2 miles long. Providing lighting around the 2 mile trail was going to be cost prohibitive.
Okay. No, how's everybody feel about that?
I don't have an issue with it because, we knew it was going to be a cost factor. So when we initially discussed, as far as I'm concerned, so.
I still would like to see some type of lighting. If we can come to some compromise, it doesn't have to be, every X amount of feet, but some type of lighting around the trail would just be, I think people would like that.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think of certain areas of the country where there's maybe a walkway, a public walkway. It may not be 100% lit, but I'm thinking kind of like in a beach environment. There's areas that are lit. They kind of look kind of like landmarks along the way. So I think there should be something to mark that trail. It doesn't maybe necessarily, because of cost being an issue, have to be, every 20 feet or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Would there be areas that the board would consider to be higher or lower priority along the multi-use trail? So if the whole multi-use trail isn't lit, is there areas along the trail that you would consider to be higher priority or areas that are lower priority just based on, the area of the trail, what it's intended to do or serve, the people it was intended to serve, or the amenities around it? For instance, his staff was interested in particular in, the potential for lighting around the single-family residences that or townhomes, I think some of them are townhomes as well, that will directly face or front the multi-use trail, since that is likely to be a high traffic or high pedestrian use, intended to essentially be an alternative to using the roadway, is using that trail. Whereas some areas like, along the west side of the property where it abuts a road and, ultimately the neighboring property that, potentially not providing lighting along that area would, potentially be a benefit to the neighbor. There's less light shining that direction towards them. But it's also an area where, since it's not near as many residences, it doesn't have residences directly abutting it. Maybe it is an area of lower priority, since it is less likely to be as heavily trafficked as the others. Are there areas, like, theoretically, where they'd get the most bang for the buck in providing lighting?
Right. Personally, I'd like to see some sort of compromise here. I understand that there are significant costs involved. There's a lot of components that make up a given project, and all of those components have a cost. The question is, what are the components that are must-haves, and what are the components that are not must-haves? And is this something that we feel is a must-have on part of it, all of it, none of it? And is the cost, I don't feel right digging into somebody's pockets to say, hey, how much does that cost, and making a determination. It's not, I don't feel that that's our place to determine necessarily how much of a percentage of project something should cost or something like that. But when there's a reply that, well, it's just too expensive and we're not doing it, well, that makes me ask, well, okay, how much is too much? How much is it proposed, expected to cost? And how much is it in relation to the overall project? Is it, oh, geez, it's adding 20% to the cost of the project? Well, okay, I get that. It's adding 0.02% to the cost of the project. Well, maybe that's a different thing. So I wouldn't mind having some more information on that. And we can continue to take a look at it. I know that we're in the process of preparing a resolution on this.
Yeah, so staff is currently.
We're in the process of getting the seeker stuff done. This is something that I'd like to, I guess, get into the nitty-gritty. I don't want to, the ultimate goal is to have a successful project. So if it's a true, deal breaker hardship, how so? And I don't think that in that case, it's a totally unfair question. But I don't know how everybody else, I'm one member. Anybody else care to comment?
I mean, I would like to know what lighting sources that they looked at to come up to that conclusion that it is too expensive. Do we have any idea of what they priced out or anything like that?
I'm not sure.
Well, there was a cut sheet on the initially submitted plan that has since been not unsubmitted. There was a type of fixture that was in keeping. It was the same fixture that's being used or proposed for the streets,
Okay.
I think. So, anyway, we
Yeah.
gotta,
I
go ahead.
just think of, even around our pool in the backyard, we have those, and these are obviously super cheap and wouldn't be effective in this use, but we have the, stick in the ground lights that are solar operated that just light the path around the pool so that nobody falls in, So I'm sure between the nice lamp posts that they're putting in the streets and that, there's a compromise in there that would do the job of lighting the path in certain areas. That's just my
Well,
thoughts, though.
There definitely are options.
Right.
So, Bob, this is yours. What's your take?
I think some of the buildings, the parking lots, the development that's around the perimeter that's in close proximity to that path, there's going to be some spillover of light anyway. So maybe going back, looking at it photometrically for maybe the dark spots, the areas there, and it may just be adding some fixtures that come off of those existing perimeter lights in the development. So you aren't doing it, the full, but hitting those spots that may appear to be dark.
Right. I mean, that's my concern too, is just those dark areas that if someone's walking their dog at, 5 o'clock in the winter or something and it's pitch black, just to have it'd be nice to have those really dark areas illuminated, a little bit at least.
Yeah. Because, at night, if there's a fixture that's even, 20, 25 feet away, you're still going to get some illumination of that path. And then again, there may be some areas that's farther away, and maybe those are the ones that, as a compromise, we'd want to look at having an additional fixtures in those areas.
Okay, well, we'll see if there's
Yeah.
a willingness to have any type of continued discussion on this or not. And meantime, we need to continue tabling, so you want to make a motion
Sure.
for that?
Move to continue tabling this project,
For continued review.
Continued review?
I'll
Yes.
second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tidings, aye.
Okay, moving on.
All right, third application for the evening is Penfield Heights. All right. So we've had some discussion with the applicant relating to building height. Since then, they have submitted an application to the zoning board for variance from building height. They'll be on the May 19th for the May 19th zoning board meeting. You know, outside of compliance with that and working through the zoning board process, at this point, all of staff's comments are technical in nature.
All right, so we do need to do need to come to a conclusion on the height thing. At the moment, that's before the zoning board, so they need to determine that. And that has a fairly significant impact on the development. Is there, anybody have any comments on the state of the submittals for the architecture, layout, any other features that are proposed in the project?
I don't know.
No.
Did they have to respond to anything that Jim Burton had asked before from the last meeting that we're unaware of? Did they respond to anything?
Jim Burton wasn't at the last meeting.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
The meeting on the 28th?
yeah.
Yes, I believe they provided that information in a response on April 8th. Regarding the architecture, we will be requesting an elevation of the common house. You know, as based on previous discussion, Bill had walked us through two scenarios for their non-residential percentages. The board had moved towards scenario one as being what they would like to see the applicant move forward with, sort of as their preference. So we will be requesting an elevation of what the two-story common house, the architectural design will look like for that, because that was one of the building modifications that would be required, as well as some updated site data to include the revised calculations based on based on revised calculations on the site plan for, what they're looking at the buildings for that.
So we're still looking for.
In the process, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else we want to discuss on this tonight while we're waiting on things? All right, somebody want to move to table?
I'll move to table.
Tidings, second.
Well, is the board interested in having staff move forward with, beginning, finalizing seeker documentation,
Yes.
or, okay,
Yeah, let's get that started
okay.
so that once we get to that point, we're
You'll be ready to move?
closer to ready to go.
Okay. We can do that.
You ready?
What's that?
You ready for the,
Vote?
yep,
Yeah, we have a
Do you have a
motion
second?
and a second.
yep,
Yeah,
Tydings.
Terry. Yeah.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tidings, aye.
Okay.
All right. Application number 4, Splash Car Wash. So since our last meeting, we have received revised plans, including a revised landscaping plan based on, as a response to our landscaping consultant's memo. So they have proposed additional plantings throughout the site. I believe they said it was about 16 additional plantings based on the previous submission for that. So it provides additional coverage around the site. Additionally,
That was the original, that was a submittal, not,
No, this is our most recent submittal. Can you bring up the original?
that,
So this is.
but
this
they
is-
haven't responded after Bruce's, with a different plan.
After Chris's memo?
Well, after
Bruce's
Bruce's memo.
Yes, they did. We just received that earlier today, or yesterday, I believe.
Okay. All right, so there is, okay.
Yes, so they're proposing additional plantings along Route 250 and additional plantings on, that would be the northeast side, along the private drive, and as well as providing some, around the parking and sort of that entry drive into the pay booth area. So the new landscaping plan is on your left, the original is on your right. Additionally, one of the changes that they made to the site plan is they revised how the curb cut is along the roadway, tried to make it more perpendicular, so you're turning in more at a 90-degree angle.
Yep.
To soften entry, they did provide a turning template analysis indicating that, the vehicle used in that was a crew cab F450, one of the larger
Like a dually.
passenger vehicles you can purchase, being able to make turns in both from the north and south adequately into the revised entry layout. Additionally, we received responses on architecture. Their response on the architecture was largely that a lot of the features that Chris commented on were branding features within Splash Car Wash's sort of design. So the
Colors, the roof color.
the colors, the sort of swoosh or curved roof and architectural features are, sort of part of Splash's branding, national branding, and it's something that they'd come up with to make their building stand out or unique.
I get that. I also, there's plenty of communities where, say, almost any brand, national brand, has this is our prototype store, location, whatever, this is what we want to do. And many times you see significant changes to fit into a particular community. Target across the street initially came in with, hey, this is what we're doing, and this actual building doesn't look like that at all. You see other national companies that can still get their message across, but they are, I guess, fitting into the community and the surroundings. Not that, this is, is there any way to, that's going to be a very, very blue building. It's going to be very, very blue. In your face, boom. So is there any kind of modification that could be made to make it not quite as in your face? And so,
I do know the architect is in the audience if you'd like to have further discussion on the architecture with him.
We're all here representing Splash here.
okay. Yeah, Jeff, if you want to come on up. You're on the hot seat. Jeff and Jeff.
Jeff Arnold with Splash Car Wash. I think as much as brand recognition, I just really want the board to understand the goal here was trying to make something that looked good. It didn't look like just a blob, a building that would, to us, something would complement more than distract from the community. The arch is, obviously, it's an expensive feature. We're not trying to, and this arch is something that we're doing at all the Buckman's renovations and as well as all new construction sites and most renovations. It's a feature that I think we thought, and I think if you could throw it out to 100 people, what percentage would find it attractive or not attractive, and if you threw it out to 100 different architects, some would agree with it, some didn't. We work with several architects, and it's amazing how different every one of them's concepts and thought processes. So I guess I would ask the board to individually evaluate and say, if you don't like it, we'll put a point up there and we'll put just a swooping straight line down instead of the arch. It would save us a lot of money. We'll bring the window glass down and we can redesign and get rid of that arch. The blue is a significant color. It's a color specifically designed. It's basically the same blue that you see on the Lowe's buildings and a lot of other buildings with blue roofs. So with the number of car washes Splash has going on in the Rochester area between the Buckman's renovations and the newly built ones coming forward, it's just significant that you recognize that it is a Splash car wash. It's not a Royal, it's not a Delta Sonic. A lot of different companies use blue, some use red, some use different colors, but we would be favorable. We would like to keep the blue. Changing it would be a difficult, it was something we'd have to evaluate to change that color and go away from our colors.
So
Jeff Ledoux with Form 2. Did you receive the updated elevations?
Yes.
So we did make some changes in response to Chris Lopez's letter so the blue, at least the side, the elevations, the body of the existing building looked at going to the neutral colors, but wanted to maintain the blue element and the variegation of the blue as a feature that's unique to Splash. So as a way of compromising at least the choice of the longevity of the colors, I guess, was one of the concerns. So using the medium gray and the dark gray along with the stone as a way of sort of creating a backdrop with the existing building and still maintaining the focal point of the tower, which as an element is intended, one is for the branding, but also for identifying it and trying to find a way to, in the car wash, I think, AJ, that you visited,
Geneva.
The arch goes the other way, and some of the things that we're studying is the reversing of it, so it's a more receiving arch that, unfortunately, in this case, we're dealing with an existing roof, and think that, at least from an element across the scale of the roof, it's no taller than the roof that's out there. There may, in terms of what that curved element is. So we tried to find a way to at least compromise the concern. So if you look, and unfortunately we didn't update the renderings to do a comparison, but the ones that you had up, if that rear view. Oh, I'm sorry. So that's all been neutralized, in terms of, but the hard part is that,
Can you explain what you mean by neutralized, Jeff?
well, we're talking like we're using the grays, the standard.
So on you're
grays.
talking on the
Blue, the
vertical
blues, the lower
walls?
level blues. So
Okay.
that's more of a neutral palette, which I think Chris had spoken to. So
let me, I don't mind the arch. I don't know, that is not, and what the blue of the roof, is that something that could be, like, could you keep some of the other blues and keep the idea, but I'm trying to, picture this when it's built, and, is it an option to have the roof gray and keep the vertical,
The
blue
Gradient.
yeah.
The blue's just significant to splash car washes. Was a tremendous amount of time, over nearly a year, working with the metal company, the paint companies, to create the color. It's significant in the fact that it draws people to the car wash because they know it's a splash car wash, but I guess it'd be like asking Lowe's to take down blue and go to gray. And it would be difficult for Lowe's to present the image that they have nationwide. And it's not saying that we're at that point of nationwide, but it is a color that they've, in a market that we went with a gray roof, I'll be quite frank, in Williamsville, right? It's been an absolute disaster. Just drawing customers to the site, it's so neutral and so blah, is people just pass by it. And they've spent a fortune on trying to market it in multiple different ways. And again, it was that same situation. I went to a gray roof. I think it's a difficult hurdle for us to get over, is giving up the blue roof.
So expand upon that if you could, Jeff, because that's, Williamsville is definitely a town that would,
So Williamsville
require a lot of modifications, right?
Yeah.
And so if you could speak to, are you sure that it's due to that versus location, or, Delta Sonic's hometown, or,
it's continuing to grow.
You
The question is, I think it's a 40,000 traffic count intersection. It's at Main and Young's.
okay,
Amherst was difficult for the simple fact that, they were not going to allow any new car washes basically into the area. There was an old rundown abandoned gas station owned by NOCO, was never going to be redeveloped, bought out to buy out the competition. So in working with the town, everything had to be neutral to fit into the Williamsville,
Right.
because it sits right at the village limit. So there's been we're now re-signing. They're allowing us to do some more with signs. They're allowing us to try to change some things. They've done a lot of marketing. We're adding a pole sign now. We're going to add enter exit signs at the drive lanes now. But it's just been a tremendous amount of work to try to get people have the look that it's a car wash. I mean, it'd be like the Delta Sonic that's in Penfield. Typically their colors, they splash the colors of reds, right? Red
And blue.
red. So let's go to red roof, we'll do red roof, right? I mean, if Delta Sonic, we try to keep our vacuum stanchions neutral, silver. We're the only ones in the nation doing it. Everybody else is bright red, bright blue, or bright yellow. Mainly bright red and bright yellow are the colors that everybody's going with, because that's what's said for marking you have to have at the vacuum. We've chosen a very neutral silver light gray color because it looks clean, it looks real professional, and we love it. It's contrary to what everybody says in the marketing world with these vacuums, what color they have to be to draw customers into them. The one thing that we do try to draw them in is with a clean looking, very expensive standard seam metal roof. This isn't a screw down cheap insultive type roof. It is, in my opinion, it's really a clean, remarkable looking roof. Newark has, the new ones around here, Newark, Seneca Falls, Watertown, the latest builds. Everything that we built in the last 3-4 years are all standard seam metal roofs, the blue. Elmira, Binghamton, Vestal, Cortland, think of it. The only one that doesn't have is Williamsville.
And that's the one that's struggling the most.
Absolutely.
Okay?
It makes it's literally so bland looking with the grays. We have grays on our building. We run a deep gray and a medium gray. These colors aren't really depicted. They're actually much darker than that. And then when you put a gray roof on it, it just looks, it's just, in my opinion, it's horrible. It's not eye appealing. It's, Splash ultimately we will go back to Amherst and ask to change the color again of that roof, because just the grays upon grays upon grays is it just doesn't do
It's not working.
justice in our world. So.
Okay. Thank you.
There it is right there. That's
That's a Williamsville one.
they mandated complete stone surface in this building. It was a very difficult 2-year grind to get this project through. It's all 4-inch solid stone, gray trim, gray roofs, gray building. No, absolutely not I don't think there's a drop of paint on that building, other than the soffits.
What's interesting is that, I look at that and I say, wow, that's a nice looking car wash.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love the whole.
But it's also very telling to me. That's the one that makes the least and costs the most.
Yeah,
Probably, by far.
Yeah. It's from aesthetically to fit into the village scheme of Williamsville. I guess it does what it wants. It does its purpose. But as you go by it, you don't know if it's an office building. You just don't know what it is.
Okay, how's everybody else feel?
Seneca Falls has the blue roof. Newark has the blue roof.
Bob?
I guess going back a meeting or two, I was just a little bit concerned about the height on the tower itself, I think at 32 feet. And I asked if that could be shortened a little bit on that overall height. And that made,
We had some comparisons on that, I thought.
But I think we have it down to 28 feet now.
oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
the elevation there. That's-
Okay, I had read, maybe it was an older one, I had read 32. Okay. Okay,
Reduced it to 28.
28, okay, thank you.
Are you okay with the color schemes and the modify, we just,
So this is one with the blue roof. I'm somewhat, unfortunately, trying to represent colors both, when you're on the screen and such,
Right.
becomes difficult. So, this would be, this is probably a clear representation of the blue, per se, that we're talking about, and the grays, so.
If you can back up one slide, that represents, that's our light gray. So there's really not a light per se, as light as you might see depicted. It's more of I would call it more of a medium gray.
Yeah, that's what
And then the dark gray is actually called iron ore. So just from the name of it, you get that it's
Right.
tending toward the real deep dark gray color.
Okay. Are you, anything else that you,
I guess, on the color, I think about other parts of the country that I've seen where I've seen different car wash designs, and I think a lot of it it's curb appeal for the building, or maybe not so much curb appeal, but just recognition, people identifying with it.
Kelly,
I'm okay with the blue.
Yeah.
Terry?
I like Williamson. Sorry, Jeff. Should have shown it to me. No, I'm okay with the blue. It's good.
I love Williamson too, but I don't want to build another one.
I'm good with this.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, honestly, I appreciate you sharing that, because, yeah, I mean, I'm a capitalist, so the more money you make at this, the better, as far as I'm concerned. But I also want to make sure that we have the nicest looking community that we can have. And so there's that middle ground. I look at Williamson, and my knee-jerk reaction is, hey, why can't we have that building? Honestly. And I don't know that people drive by it and never even know it's a car wash, and, you potentially struggle to break even on the place, or, struggle to be profitable. So those are good things that, to me, as a learning experience.
We actually even hired a professional company to come up and evaluate out of Florida, and their evaluation wasn't, they understood with the roof color couldn't be changed, but the things that they talked about is we needed to go back to the town about changing the signage and just throwing one on the building. And, the zoning board that we met with a few weeks ago was fabulous. I mean, they really understood our goal here in trying to improve the site, improve the drive lanes, and do the things. But they're also great working with us to get the proper signage so we don't have the problem with how customers pull in or pull out, and they know where to go, and they know what they're pulling into a car wash. And I think these things they're all critical into being successful in business.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. I'd like to, I know that we have resolutions are started on this. I'd like to take another, we just got new information yesterday. So with that in mind, I'd like to table it. Everybody make sure that you take a look at the approval resolution and
Table pending a draft
EAF
approval resolution.
and the new plans, so that between now and next meeting, hopefully we can get this put to bed.
Tydings second.
Yeah, so I move to table.
Okay.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tydings, aye.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, applications number 5 and 6, lots 3 and 4. So since we last met, the applicant responded to the discussion from the board's meeting on April 14th, and they have revised at Lot 4 the architecture based on the comments of the board. 3D. I think that's, and they provided a perspective rendering. So one of the comments of the board was, to see more stone along the bottom or the first floor of the building to break up that vertical, the vertical center section of the building, and provide a little bit more architectural detail. I think they accomplished that, and then additionally they provided a 3D rendering which shows, sorry, I guess we're,
Was it the bottom of the page?
Second page.
yeah, second page, sorry.
There we go.
Of, I think it does a better job of showing the woodwork and the canopies and the timber features of the building that sometimes get lost in a two-dimensional elevation.
Yeah, I personally appreciate they had done that and like the changes.
I will note there's a rendering error on the first floor on the perspective that is stone on the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to verify that.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that it just, when it processed through, it didn't print or didn't, whatever, turn it to PDF.
Yes, Mike is nodding that
messed
yes,
up.
that was just a rendering error.
Yeah. Okay. Staff, engineering, everybody's good with what's going on with this
Yes.
so far? All our issues are pretty much well in hand, and
They've addressed everything for at least the engineering side, so.
Yes, they've addressed all of our comments.
okay. And we do have EAFs and approval resolutions.
How we do them separately, though? Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll do each lot separately.
So this is Jim's. Does somebody else want to move
Yeah,
on
Tydings, I'll make the motion to approve the Part 2 EAF.
for
which one?
lot?
For lot,
Lot 3 first.
I'll second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tydings, aye.
Okay.
Make the motion to approve the resolution for lot number 3.
I'll
Tydings.
second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tydings, aye.
Okay. Moving on to lot 4.
Motion to approve Part 2 EAF for lot number 4. Tydings.
Kanauer, second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tydings, aye. Make the motion to approve resolution for lot number 4. Tydings.
Kanauer, second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tydings, aye.
Okay.
two off the
Two
agenda.
off the agenda.
All right, moving on. Application number 7 on our agenda is and 8 is the Taco Bell and Home Outlet. They, since our last meeting, they appeared at the zoning board meeting on April 21st. The zoning board approved all of the variances for setback, lot coverage, and parking. They're still working with the zoning board through the signage. Since then, they did, based on the conversation that the zoning board had with the applicant, they provided a revised site plan. The biggest changes you'll note on the revised site plan are additional striping on the east side of the home outlet to better delineate a drive aisle. As you come in off of the Creek Street, and a modified curb cut, I believe, on the east side. Additionally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're also proposing to remove the fence along the Creek Street side as well?
There will, we're
There will still
replacing
be,
it, and
we're
there'll be a
replacing
board
it,
on
okay.
board.
There'll be a board on board.
Okay.
We're still waiting, I believe, on responses to the PRC comments from our PRC memo that we sent on April 7th. But we're expecting that, I believe, shortly, correct?
Well, yeah, I guess
Sorry.
to clarify, I thought I was supposed to wait for further comments from the board on which of those we were supposed to be addressing.
Oh, I
Which
apologize.
PRC comments?
Yes, if you remember, we had a specific question about there was a comment about requiring separate plans.
Oh, right, I apologize.
And the 7-foot sidewalk setback along Creek Street. So there's a few things that we were told to hold
Okay,
off and don't
apologize.
respond until we had clarification from the board on
Okay,
what they wanted to
apologies.
see there.
Right.
That is on me. I'll get those responses to you shortly.
Okay. So, this is yours. My initial comments on this are the striping on that's a nice, good change. I think that overall, the site is tight. For myself, my thoughts have kind of come full circle. I don't know if full circle is the right way to describe it, but here's an application where you have an existing location not far away. You are proposing to move to a different location. How many restaurants do they operate?
101.
So 101 restaurants. It's hard for me to believe that, you'd almost have to be a total moron to, on purpose, walk into and on purpose purchase and design something that is absolutely not going to work. So while I think that this is challenging and the cross-traffic could create some conflicts, if those conflicts happen, they're really going to hurt your business.
Correct.
And the fact that you operate 101 restaurants, I'm assuming you know what you're doing to a degree. So, that said, that's where I guess I've kind of come full circle on this. And I'm all right with us let's get started moving on approval resolution and, we can get those responses and maybe, hopefully the next meeting we can get it off the table.
Well, I can make clarification, at least on the sidewalk easement. We're just requesting, like the Water Authority requests a 15-foot easement on Creek Street. We're requesting a 7-foot wide easement in the event in 50, 100 years that the county decides to widen Creek Street, that we can move a sidewalk. It's not going to necessarily be 7 feet, but it might be 5 feet into the property, and we already have an existing easement. This is typically what we ask for on every property. So that's just, if that provides any more clarification on the.
And I guess the issue with both parcels is space. There's not 7 feet to put a sidewalk on either parcel there. I don't have that dimension on the plan, but it looks like it's maybe 5 feet between the drive-through lane and the property line for the Taco Bell.
Right.
And basically nothing for the home outlet portion where the parking is. So a sidewalk would never be feasible there with this site plan without taking away the drive-through or taking away parking or something like that from.
Well, like I said, maybe we're only going to have to go encroach into a foot onto the property.
Because most of it's.
But at least we have a foot or an easement that we can at least move into. I mean, I don't see the whole 7 feet being taken over by a sidewalk. I just need the area for a future event that the county decides to widen Creek Street. They're not going to widen it so that I push the sidewalk into your property,
Right.
but they might make it so that it's a foot inside your property. So
Okay.
it's just a,
Or the town may disturb, even if the sidewalk is fully still within the right-of-way,
Right.
the town may disturb a limited portion.
Right.
And install it.
and the reason why we didn't ask for it on the Empire Boulevard side is that right-of-way is so expansive already. There's literally just one little corner that we're not going to worry about for the sidewalk. So
Okay,
that hopefully explains that as far as.
yes.
What about landscaping? Just going to do landscaping on the Taco Bell, nothing for the outlet? As long as you're going to subdivide this, maybe improve that a little bit?
There's hardly any green space to speak of on the home outlet, so, you know, where would you put it? Really, the only potential place would be kind of on the southwest corner or southeast corner. There's a tiny bit of green space, and the one, you know, on the southwest, we have labeled for snow storage. So if you put any shrubs or anything there and then they pile snow on it, then they're going to.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get it done. I mean, we're going to we're letting you subdivide 2 spots. How many variances? 10, 12, you know? That would be the time to, I think, improve both lots a little bit, make it look a little nicer. If it's at all possible, maybe you guys can take a look at that. I think it'd be nice.
Yeah, that green space is new, right? Stuff in the corner.
Yes, yep, in that southwest corner there, the parking did come straight down, so we did increase the green space there a little bit.
I'm sorry, if I can go back to the sidewalk again, the Creek Street entrance, are you going to provide a sidewalk through the apron?
Yes, so that was one of the comments, and we'll update on the next set of plans to
Just
show
wanna-
the concrete going through there.
Just want to make sure.
Yep.
Anything else? Was there any other comments? The PRC, was that all taken care of?
Most of it was technical.
Technical stuff, okay. Yeah, just take a look maybe at the landscaping, because it's probably we gotta wait for the other stuff anyways, because we didn't have time to review. I'd like to, take a look at the zoning board minutes and stuff like I requested. I know, been busy this week, so nobody could get them out. And I'd like to take a look at those for the variances. All the variances were,
So signage is a special permit, so that portion was tabled because we went in with a new home outlet shared pylon sign on Creek Street. That missed the deadline for the last ZBA meeting, so they will look at all the signage together at next month's meeting. But all of the variances, which was the parking, lot coverage, and setbacks, were granted.
okay. All right, that'll give us a little bit more time to take a look at that stuff that I requested. I know it's been busy. Any other questions from anybody else right now? So I'm going to make a move unless you got something pressing.
Well, if we table it pending
Draft approval resolution.
draft approval,
And, and an opportunity I want to review those zoning board minutes and, or see it if if it's back up on the, the computer, because it wasn't working, so I didn't see it. So, yeah, so that
Okay.
and whatever. We'll take a look at it, and then we should be in good shape, I think.
We can do that.
okay?
All right?
Yeah.
Make a motion to table. Tidings.
Second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tidings, aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Excuse me.
All right. Application number 9, the Heritage Christian Group Home, 2730 Atlantic Avenue. So the applicant will be going before the zoning board next month in May, May 19th, for a setback variance for the pre-existing non-conforming garage that is on the site. Staff is pretty comfortable with the variance review on that. We are expecting revisions on the plans. We did send out a PRC memo, I believe on April 1st. I can double check that though, before I get my date wrong. Yes, April 1st. So we're waiting for responses. Most of our responses were technical, our comments were technical in nature. So we're waiting on revised plans for that. Just for...
What's been the response on the south driveway as far as potentially putting a sort of like cul-de-sac or something and just having the northern
The applicant initially
driveway?
stated that they were looking that they could potentially move that south driveway further north on the property. They were thinking probably about 5 to 10 feet would work. The driveway as it is, sort of the center line of the driveway to the edge of the intersection is about 65-ish feet. I believe, based on our measurements too, that it's about, I think the concern was the left turn lane from eastbound Atlantic to northbound on Scribner. It's about 110, 115 feet. Again, I did some rough scale roll measurements between sort of the center of the driveway and the center of the turn lane. So potentially if they were able to move it, you'd give you 5 or 10 additional feet moving further north. This was sent to New York State DOT for their review. New York State DOT did not have any comments and had no concerns with the layout that was proposed. But it's something that we can wait, or we can request additional information from the applicant on to see if there is an alternative design or another, if there's something they could do to move that further away from the intersection.
I think that's a good idea.
Is there, is it possible to, I'm guessing the biggest vehicle that would be entering that would be like a shuttle bus.
So
Yeah, they usually have their own.
the dimension of those
transportation
is about
vehicles.
22 feet.
So if,
one of those.
is it, how hard is it to put, say, you know how we have people do turning radiuses and turning radii, and they'll overlay vehicles on a plan? If the shuttle bus is slowing down, just, heading north to turn right into the lot, and there's a school bus behind it, how close is the back of the school bus to the intersection? And if there's a school bus heading eastbound, turning left, north onto Scribner, what kind of room do we have there? And could they possibly overlay, almost like a stacking type diagram on that?
AJ, I think we can ask for that. That's a good thing, but I think you got to remember that the timing of everything is going to be totally different than when school's in session and when they're going to be. I'm not saying we shouldn't ask that to see what it is, but I think the whole timing of when the bus is going to be leaving the house and returning to the house is going to be totally offset from when school buses are coming and going.
I think that's a valid point. However, I think that a lot of the public's concern is that very thing.
Right. Well, I think it's a good thing to have in our
If
pocket.
it's something that we can ask for and get and potentially allay people's fears and concerns, that may help assuage those fears.
That's fine.
Assuage is the right word
I just,
to use.
wanted the board to have the thought also that it's different time frames, so,
Right, the likelihood of that shuttle bus
right.
turning into there from the south
Right.
at that, during that
Specific.
period of time,
Right.
I'm guessing that they would say, hey, whatever you do,
Don't come.
Don't do
back.
it. Right.
Don't come at that time. They won't be able to get down the street, trust me.
Right.
Additionally, you could always
You
ask
want to
for
keep your
the,
job, you're not coming at that time.
you could always ask for the southern entrance to be removed. I mean, I know they added this to be a good neighbor.
Right.
To reduce the amount of time that they would have to reverse with the, the
Right, the
buses
beep, beep, beep.
will beep,
Yep.
or do have audible, do make noise. So this was an intent to prevent having to back up those shuttles and create additional noise to the neighbor. One thing to consider is this, for all intents and purposes, is a single-family residence. So
They're gonna, they are gonna remove the southern exit or entrance, right?
No, they're not.
Oh, they're not?
no,
No, I mean,
It's-
if we,
it could potentially be something that we ask for.
Right.
It is something that they put in place on this plan with the intention that it, to be a good neighbor, because it would reduce the amount of time
the backup
that
noises.
they're backing up and require, backup noises that can be heard.
But we haven't received comments.
No, we haven't received responses
from
to
the
comments.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think we gotta leave it then, because I think that's the best move. Excuse me, because that's close to the intersection. I mean, I think that's the better, if it's gonna get approved, you definitely don't want two driveways coming out on the Scribner.
Oh, right, but that's a enter in only, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I guess I kind of want to see that stacking diagram, for lack of a better,
We can ask
because
for
I
it.
get the, not having the beep, 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 beep of a reversing shuttle bus. If that's the reason that's there, that's, what are we're offsetting things, I guess.
And I'm not sure if in their application, did they say how many times the bus would be coming and going per day? I mean,
I believe during the public hearing, they did state that, it really does vary depending on the programming. But I think they stated that for the most part, it leaves in the morning. They do some programmatic function. It comes back in the afternoon.
right,
So it tends to not be more than 1 or 2 trips a day.
that's what I thought.
This is your,
I know. I would like to know more about what they're going to do with the farmhouse and why they're not utilizing that space at all. Because if at all possible, just not having anything on Scribner right there, I think would be the best move.
I believe the intention is to sell that off.
Okay.
Is that they'll sell the house. My guess is somebody will come and buy it and flip it.
It's a good idea if they could do that, because they said that they're very close with the people in the church there.
Right.
And that's a better option, actually. I agree with you. If they could do that, let them, as long as they're getting along with the church and stuff like that.
My guess is based on the age of the home and the fact that it is a 2-story structure makes it very challenging for the type of function and program that they're looking to do.
Oh, yeah, they're not going to use, the house you're talking about, the
Yeah,
old house? Oh, yeah, that's probably going to have to come down. It's been vacant things. I would assume they're going to take it down or just sell it and let somebody else tear it down.
If they subdivided it and did that, they moved the group home to
They
Lot
still won't.
R2. Lot R1 could be sold and developed into a single-family residence. It is a residential, actually it could be subdivided into 2 lots, 1.19 acres, and in the R120 district, you could sub it into 2 lots.
It'd be good to throw it out, so they'll see, maybe they'd go into, maybe they decide to keep it and, go that direction. That would,
That would
take
be
all
a
that
lot.
stuff away from both intersections, actually. As long as, they're dead set on building something there. That's the problem, the safety of people. So I think that would be a better idea.
Even the turn signal coming off of Scribner onto Atlantic, I had to pick up my son from intramurals today at 3:45, and it was jam-packed, right? But even that turn lane goes down far down the road. So even if someone is turning in to that building, they'll have to cross through a turn lane.
I mean, if they're,
If they're coming down Scribner, yeah.
Outside of the hours around school, Scribner is not very high traffic.
I
I'd say
agree
that
with
as somebody
Kelly,
who
though.
lived-
I've been there 30 years. I agree with her. I mean, you know, those are the primary times that, things, that, the regular school times, but here's, you know, she's talking about kids' activities, which I didn't even think about really, and they do utilize the school for more of those type of things. So I would agree with Kelly on that one.
okay. So what are we asking for?
They have any alternate plans for alleviating those two driveways? I mean, essentially.
Okay. Do you want to, we table it with the questions of, can you consider alternate means of egress and exit or something, or?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm really stuck on the whole safety of that intersection.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Personally, I'd like to see that south driveway, not there. I think it's too close to the intersection.
Okay, somebody want to make a tabling motion?
Motion to table up for,
Asking
You
for
could just
the
table.
things that we discussed, I guess.
okay. Motion to table for that.
I will second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tidings, aye.
So before we move, you guys have an idea of what
Yes.
okay,
Yep.
okay,
I can articulate that to the applicant through a tabling resolution.
okay. Let's keep going.
All right, application number 10, the cell tower at 1838 Penfield Road. So a little bit of information to update you guys.
Step away.
I'm
Oh,
recused
yeah.
on this one, so you didn't leave a break in the action.
Peter's got to leave here for a sec.
Okay. So to give you guys an update, since the public hearing, the applicants appeared before the Zoning Board of Appeals, both for area variances and a use variance. At the Zoning Board meeting, the Zoning Board tabled the use variance and asked to hire an outside consultant to look into investigating the information from Verizon, to determine whether this was the best location and if there were other suitable locations. So they tabled it pending that. We expect that process to take a little while. Really, right now, the two sort of things before the planning board is, you had asked for some additional information, specifically, AG, I know you had asked for the height for the two cell towers on
Torque Hill.
Turk Hill, they responded that they reached out, those are 150 feet.
So this is
124 is what they're
124
looking for
plus
here.
4 for the lightning
128.
rod.
Yeah, it's 128 with a lightning rod on top.
128.
okay. So, all right. So 20 feet below the ones on Torque Hill.
And I know another concern of the board was the potential for landscaping. I do believe they've indicated that they would be amenable to doing some or providing some landscaping. They've had some discussions with the fire district.
So, I mean, realistically, they can't provide enough landscaping to buffer this thing.
No, but at least
mean-
at least from ground level or from the first floor from the nearby businesses, you would have a little bit of a visual buffer. I mean, if you looked up, you'd still see a tower, but at least if you looked out the first floor windows of the business next door, you might see some arborvitaes or ornamental plantings as opposed to seeing the fence or the enclosure for the equipment shelter
Yeah.
or the equipment pavilion.
I mean, we need to table it pending the results of the zoning board, number one, but from
Right.
I get the fact that everybody has cell phones, everybody's data is being used more and more and more, and this is a technology that is not going to, in the near future, become less important to society. It's going to become more important to society. That said, I'm having a very difficult time reconciling the prospect of every single day seeing this giant cell tower in the four corners of Penfield that I'm struggling with mightily. I was trying to get my head around at least having a giant American flag, but
Is that a motion?
public hearing,
Is
they,
that a motion?
what's
Yeah.
that?
Is that a motion for denial?
But them saying that they can't do that anymore is, reduces or increases the level of disappointment or whatever for me, but I don't know how everybody else feels.
Yeah.
There's not much, I don't know how much power we have on this. We don't
I
have
don't
a
think there's
ton.
anything.
I think one thing we should look at is the Penfield Historic Preservation District at the Four Corners. And if we look at that map, I gotta get my bearings. So
Is that the business district? That's the business district. You look at the historic, yep.
And they
okay,
said the bus garage, the existing bus garage is not viable?
Right.
that's what they said, yeah.
Pourquoi?
So,
That
and I can
radius.
shed a little bit more information. That was the topic of lengthy discussion at the zoning board of appeals meeting. They went through a list, I think it was about 7 alternative sites within the radius that they're trying to fill the gap in coverage. They had varying explanations as to why each site wasn't viable, ranging just from, lack of interest from the property owner. But the dates in which they checked with those various owners varied. So the zoning board did ask for clarification on a couple of properties for them. For example, the school district, the last time they had spoken to them was, they had mentioned, I think, was 7 years ago. We had asked for further information from them on that, but if there's a particular site that this board is interested in hearing about, then I think we should, obviously ask them that as well, if it'll supplement what the zoning board has said.
Okay.
Yeah, so this district,
Thank you.
it starts at the Penfield line and goes up to Whalen Road and then a couple of properties just north of Whalen, I believe. So, obviously, it's the visual impact of the tower. You look at towns like Pittsford, there's no visible towers within the village of Pittsford. There is an antenna on top of the grain tower, but you've already got a high structure there, so it's just an element on the top of, the tower. And the same in Fairport, the closest tower, there is one in the village, but it's pretty much covered by trees. It's at a pretty high elevation by a cemetery, south of town. But that one, again, you can't see, within the village. Both villages having, historic preservation districts. So I guess, we'll see from the consultants. I'm hoping that there might be an alternative solution, whether it be mini cell towers or whatever the description is, like the one down at Panorama Plaza. If there were multiple devices like that would just be in the right-of-way, I don't know. So I guess, we'll see what the consultant comes up with.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So, I guess given that, I'll move that we table pending.
Before we get to tabling, there was one additional matter we wanted to bring up, and that is, per FCC regulations, there is essentially a shot clock that requires action within a specific time. The zoning board, in their discussions with Verizon, asked to extend the shot clock to June 17th. We have put in a request with Verizon to extend it through June 24th. That would be so that would allow you guys to be the final acting board if the zoning board were to make a decision on at their meeting on June 16th. That way you guys don't have to act before the zoning board acts on a use variance.
Okay.
So this is something that we're asking Verizon to grant?
It has to be through mutual agreement between the two
agreement of the parties to extend the shot clock. Otherwise, it would trigger their time to go to court under the Telecommunications Act to seek the approvals from the town. So to avoid litigation, the parties will mutually agree to extension of that time period.
Okay.
And so I haven't heard back from, I thought they'd be here tonight. I thought Jared's email suggested they'd be here, but we have agreement as to the 17th, and with 2 additional meetings for the planning board in May, I think we can extend it again to coincide with the June meetings of the board. So I would suggest for tonight to document it, let's pass a resolution based on mutual consent of the applicant and the planning board to extend the shot clock to the 17th of June.
The 17th, that works.
Okay. You want to modify your,
Okay.
or make a separate motion for that?
And then I
Yes.
do have one item as well on the consultant before the matter is presumably tabled.
Okay.
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 Why don't we do the shot clock motion
Okay.
first?
So I move that we consider and ask that the shot clock be moved to June 17th, extended.
I'll second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tydings, aye.
And on the consultant, just to follow up on your line of questioning, I know the zoning board was focused on the technology and the coverage-related issues associated with placing of the tower in this area. I think your question more about the visual impact assessment and sort of, I would say, the accuracy or comprehensiveness of the visual simulations that they provided. Would this board be looking for additional information from the consultant to aid in your review? Because obviously, as we go interview the consultants, if there's something this board would like as well, we'll want to include that in the request.
I'd say yes. I'd like to see what visual impacts. They did a balloon fly we were notified of the balloon fly 20 minutes before it flew. And I mean, I'd like to see another one of those.
Definitely. Yeah.
It was more than 20 minutes before.
I made it. I don't remember when I got
Maybe
it.
an hour before?
I don't remember,
It was
because
that morning.
I saw,
I
met
sent
you
an
there.
email, I believe, the week before.
We can have an offline conversation on this, but I don't.
I mean, if you'd like a consultant
Snail
to-
mail.
Yeah, to supplement or review the accuracy of their balloon flights, their visual simulations, and also work with this board and the zoning board essentially collectively on behalf of the town to provide the needed feedback. Certainly, that's within this board's discretion and permitted under the code.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Repeat that.
So right now, the zoning board has made a request to have a consultant be retained. I think that what they're requesting is slightly different from what this board is discussing. They would like a consultant to review. And obviously, this board can decide whether it needs the same work, whether it needs additional work from the consultant to aid in your review of the project, because you have site plan approval and conditional use permit approval over the tower. So my only question in terms of scope of services is, should we be asking this consultant to provide more than just what I would say is a technical review of, their location mapping, their geographic range of where they think the tower needs to be situated in terms of the technology, rather than visual impact assessment?
Yeah,
I'm hearing yes.
I would like to include for the consultant to also look at alternatives for visual impact.
Yeah, visual
Yeah.
impacts and the, yes, alternative siting locations.
Alternative siting locations, yeah.
Alternative types of structures.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, let's exhaust all of our,
Tools.
all of our tools to, if we're gonna have to eat this
Yeah.
sandwich, it's gotta taste as good as possible.
Well put. Hungry.
Yeah. Okay.
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 So I will make a motion that we table this based on, and I'm sure this was all
Our
captured in the
discussion just now.
minutes per our discussion.
I'll second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tidings, aye.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm AJ, by the way. John. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Couple items. Okay,
Right.
next.
Moving on, take a look at our action items. The first one that we left on there was Penfield Farms. We've been in discussion with the applicant. They've submitted materials for our site plan application, including updated materials, landscape plan. That was a significant concern of the board at the last meeting, since a substantial amount of trees had been removed as part of the renovation of the park. The board would like to see additional landscaping provided. So they have provided a landscaping plan showing that they will be doing some, showing some of the existing trees that still remain on the site. Additionally, they're moving some of the, sort of visitor or additional parking spaces along the east side of the property and providing some plantings along that to prevent headlight shine into the neighboring mobile home park. to the east, as well as providing some along the south side of Arbor Drive to prevent headlight intrusion where Linden Avenue comes in off of 441 and splits, as well as doing some, they've provided, if you scroll down a little further down, they provided example foundation plantings around the individual homes. So this is just a blow up of 2 of them to show that there will be some additional plantings with each of the homes that is placed. Additionally, they provided a cut sheet showing the different siding and architectural features, so like shutters, different shutter colors and exterior colors to show that there is some variation within the design of the home, so that not each of the homes will be white-sided with black shutters, in a row, that there will be some variation to provide some uniqueness in design and feel between, and including a roof type or roof colors as well, to provide some different differentiation between the units.
Okay.
So we're processing and working through the site plan application. We do have the applicant and owner in the audience if you'd like to have them come up and
Yeah, if you want to come on up. Maybe a brief introduction and description of what your plans are and that sort of thing.
Sure. My name is Mike Boyle. I work for Green Court Partners. We're based out of Chicago, Illinois. We are the owner of the property. We acquired the property in the spring of 2020. We own and operate communities around the Rochester area along with others around the country. Our operating company, Windward Communities, is based on site as well as backstopped with a regional and national operations team.
How many parks do you own?
Right now, we currently own 20 around the country and are looking to continue that. Again, our operations team is in essentially the mode to make sure we're purchasing these communities and trying to transform them. I don't know if anybody on the board has been through the Penfield Farms community. Obviously, the front section, there's quite a bit of transition. But if you go to the rear of the community, you can tell the investment that we put in place already. We brought in 20-plus new homes. We continue to do that in the front. I guess as of right, the community is zoned MH. It's kind of where MH wants to be, manufactured housing wants to be within the community. We're trying to reinvest, redevelop, and provide the housing stock that's necessary within the area. We're converting about 140 or so homes in the front section. We're converting those from mostly single-section homes and increasing the size of those to provide multi-section homes that'll provide 2 to 3 bedroom with 2 baths. So we're trying to meet a real segment of housing demand that's out there. We're trying to also, as part of this project, one of the reasons that we're coming in before you, we, again, could have gone in 1-for-1 with the homes that were out there, but we're trying to provide homes that we think are going to meet the need for families within the area. And as a result, we're relocating some of the homes. The reason why the trees had to come out, unfortunately, is because the homes are shifting. We have a set of photos that show the community 50 years ago, 60 years ago. I think it's been part of this community for a long time. The Harper family have owned it. Again, we purchased it. We're trying to, we've got the playground that we put in. And if you see the trees, when this community was first developed, were not there. They've kind of popped up in between homes over the years. And again, there were single-section homes that are really close to each other. A lot of metal-on-metal homes. The homes that we brought in, brand-new homes, multi-section. They're really a nice product. I'm not sure if you've ever been to one, but I went through the Manufactured Housing Institute's expo last week in Orlando. They're amazing what can be done in manufactured housing. So this is a representation of a multi-section home, again, here within the community. a nice gray siding with a lot of lighting in the front. This one does not have shutters. There are options with shutters. This does demonstrate the landscaping at the front. But again, we're trying to go in and provide homes that are affordable and meet the demands that are out there right now. Again, the reason we're here, we've worked with staff and with engineering. We appreciate all the help and we appreciate your time this evening. But the engineering of a 60-year-old community with private sewers, private water, private electricity requires us to go in and relocate a lot of that infrastructure. So we're putting our money into that to reinvest and offset all of those utilities, not on the town's dime, but our investment into the community. And what we're seeking is an approval so we can get going on this, because there are obviously contractors interested in the project, and there's a window within Rochester similar to Chicago, and there's a true need. The inventory, I think when I was at MHI last week, there's 3 to 5 million homes that are, we're in need of those. And I see some other areas within the Penfield community that are popping up. They're gorgeous. We love the development that's going on within Penfield. There's a certain niche within this market, and we're hopeful that, by coming in, showing what was there, what we're looking to put in, what our vision, our investment within the community, everyone on the board can understand where we're coming from and hopefully can support this going forward to try and move forward. Again, it's an administrative review. We're zoned by right. This was the most effective way to overall kind of resize the sites, and we agree with that. And we want to be a good neighbor. We want to come in and give everybody the opportunity to see it, ask any questions, and review it, and let us know if there's anything, as a good neighbor, that there are any outstanding questions. But we're looking forward to a long-term relationship within Penfield and an investment within the community.
Okay, Mike, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that, you're coming in and taking out 70-year-old mobile homes and replacing them with new, obviously much nicer products. I know, speaking for myself, seeing it, I drive 441 every day to and from work, and it's the type of thing that you've always known it was there. Mm-hmm. The trees have always screened it and made a kind of a nice neighborhood in there from a shade standpoint. Look, I'm a shade lover.
Understood. Same here.
Milk gets more tan than me, so I like shade. All of a sudden, I'm driving by and it's clear cut. And then our last meeting, and I will say, it's 11 o'clock at night, we get this and it's okay. No trees, no landscaping, no, want to see something that's going to, I get the fact that you're making a significant investment in rejuvenating and refurbishing the whole community. Want to make sure that 10 years from now, there's some mature vegetation so that it's not like a army barracks or something. Is that, I don't want to sound.
No, I understand. When you have, we prefer charming tree-lined streets. Again, it's the unfortunate nature of where these homes were, again, being single section, and then the overlap of where these are. Our intention is to put landscaping in. Obviously, it's spring, so it looks a little sparse. Around the perimeters where we can, we do put more ornamental trees where possible on lots. There's an example of one there. Around the perimeter, we'd certainly be, we have no problem with planting more, trees that'll grow and mature over time, where they're not going to be a safety concern for the homes, which the previous set of trees unfortunately were. We were able to work with, a fairly well-recognized arborist and select, save select trees throughout the area. I know there's Not nearly as many as we want to, but there are some, some heritage trees that have been saved. And our intention is to be a good steward and replant where possible.
Okay. So we got new plans to.
Yeah, submitted an
today?
application and application materials today. We're getting those off for other interagency review as well.
Okay.
To cover all those, and so we hope to have information back from them shortly.
Okay. So I guess where this stands is we got the material. We can take a look at it. I don't personally think that this necessitates advertised hearing. This certainly could be handled in a work session environment. I don't know everybody else's view on that, but.
Yeah. Mike, I just got one question. Is there going to be somebody on site from your company?
Yes, sir.
To speak with a building? Because I've been down there twice since I first heard about the project, and I just didn't, well, obviously there's a lot of work going on right now.
Yeah.
And so there is someone present
Correct,
down there?
yeah. Rich is there full-time. We have an area manager, Steve Redding. We have a salesperson that's going to be officing on site.
There's no office or management thing right now?
There is right now, yeah.
Oh, there
yes,
is?
sir. Yeah, we have an office that's on the site right now that we're looking to enhance at some point. And
is it designated an office?
Yes.
I mean, like I say, I kind of drove around, but I didn't want to get in a lot of trucks moving around there. I didn't want to, but it is down there, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a third access from the east, basically, and you can see the community center office.
Okay.
With an office manager.
It's right adjacent to the playground area.
Okay, is that, you'll be down there? I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
No, I'm Ryan Destro from BME Associates, the project engineer.
Oh, Ryan, okay. Okay, so, Rich or Steve or somebody will be down there?
Yeah. We're staffed around the clock there. I should say, Rich, I believe, lives in the neighborhood, lives right there in the community. So we have a presence, an active presence. We're as a company, we utilize NPS to kind of try and gauge the resident enjoyment of living within our communities. So we're constantly seeking, the feedback of our residents. We're trying to improve. Safety is a top concern. People taking pride in their community. We like seeing plantings in front of homes. It's a good sign that people are looking to stay. So it's we take a great sense of pride when people take pride in the community. So.
Well, everybody will be moved out, obviously, if you're going to get the new units in, correct?
Correct.
So are you going to be, they'll be coming back in? I mean, the same people are coming back, or?
I'm not sure the exact details. Yeah, I'm not sure the exact details. I believe that was all worked out where folks had been offered an opportunity. And obviously, with the approval process, people need a place to live in the interim. So I'm not sure the exact details of that.
Okay.
But the sooner we can get the site plan approval, the sooner we can certainly start building. And the manufacturers for the homes, they're 12 to 18 months out. So trying to gauge this approval process has been a tricky one, and we're trying to hit it where we've got Rochester spring and summer.
That's true.
And tie all the I'm sure everybody's aware here with all the material shortages, it makes it a little more difficult and tricky. So we're trying to, while we have interest, we're trying to move forward. So if there's any questions, I mean, again, what you see right there is what we're doing, what we've been doing, what we'll continue to do to reinvest. We want to bring homes in. Without this approval, we can't really move forward. So we graciously ask that we talk through at this working session any questions there might be. Again, given the fact that this is a by right MH, this is where zoning wants this to be. I know, again, we're an investor in the community. We're trying to make this work. It just, every time we pause it a little bit, it makes it a little more difficult for us. So we graciously seek approval tonight if we could. If there's any questions, we'd work through any of those.
I mean, we need time to review this.
I think they have to wait for county approval, too.
we have to wait for
It has to go to, submit it to the county planning department, and then there's a time period.
And as a neighbor too, with being in close proximity to the Pittsford, we have to provide Pittsford an opportunity to comment as a neighboring municipality as part of our intermunicipal agreements.
But it sounds like they don't need to do they're not required to do a public hearing, and it sounds like
there's not a push to do that, so that'll shorten that up a little bit.
Is there anything that, aside from, I know staff has supported this along the way. I guess I didn't know Pittsford would need a review of that. Is there anything else that the board would like to see? So we could kind of try and align what we're trying to provide? Or is it just a little bit more time?
More time for me because I don't, even know what's in the material yet to look at.
We got them, I didn't even know until I walked in the building today that we got this material. And, I think that we can review it between now and the next meeting, and hopefully at the next meeting, you're on your way.
Okay, we appreciate that. Okay.
So it's both a blessing and a curse, the processes that government has to go through for, it annoys people and it also protects people at the same time. And the hope is that it does more protection than annoyance.
No, I appreciate it. I sit in the plan commission in my own community. I understand there are, certain things that need to be rules and procedures that need to be followed. I just didn't know if there's a way, again, the landscaping plan is up there. It's pretty typical. The photos are going to represent. So I don't know, between now and then, I understand you need a little more time to review it.
And we're certainly anxious to turn things around as quick as possible, too. We received the PRC comments on 4/13, and we responded in writing on 4/13. We received final instruction from town staff yesterday, and then turned around the landscaping plan as well as the architecturals for tonight. I know it's not much of a review time, but we at least wanted to get it ready to present to you and offer an open dialogue between everybody, and certainly between now and next meeting, if there's any comments or any additions to the plans that you'd like to see, let us know and we'll immediately turn it around for you.
Perfect.
Yeah, appreciate you coming in from the Windy City.
Mike,
It's
hang
still
out.
windy.
2 weeks, you get to hang out in Rochester, Mike.
It's still windy, just
Welcome.
like here. It's sunny here today, so we'll
Ryan will
take that.
entertain you.
Yeah. No, we truly appreciate it. Thank you for your time and letting us be on the agenda tonight and having the conversation. Thank you very much.
Nice meeting you.
We're excited to be in the area and the community. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Guys, yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so,
Table.
yeah, we should move, somebody want to move to table this?
Tydings, table, make a motion, table,
I'll
please.
second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tydings.
Tydings, aye.
All right, our second action item. So this is a referral from the town board. The town board has accepted an incentive zoning application for K2 Brewing down off of Empire Boulevard. If you're familiar with the area down there, K2 is within our LaSalle's Landing district. And they operate their brewing company there. They're looking at potentially purchasing some property from their neighbor to the north, which is within the R120 zoning district, to expand a greater parking lot to provide for their expanding business that will allow them to utilize the second floor of their existing building and to expand their operation. Per section 255 of town code, it is under the jurisdiction of the town board, but the town board is looking for input from the planning board on the appropriateness of the incentive application, as well as looking at what the planning board has in terms of comments and concerns from a site plan review perspective. Ultimately, what would the planning board would produce from this review would be a memo to the town board with comments, concerns, and whether the board is supportive of the application.
So, I'm looking at this plan here. Are you saying that the property in between K2 and Empire Boulevard is a separate parcel, and they're
Yeah, so in between them.
purchasing the parcel or part of that parcel?
Actually, I believe we have the, I don't know if they're purchasing it, if they're leasing it. In between them is the Howitt Bayview Landings apartment project.
Wait a minute, that's not to the north of them.
Or to,
I'm
sorry, to the
talking
south of
about-
them.
I'm talking about, okay, so,
Oh, to the north of K2?
I can
yeah,
help.
so there's a shed,
I can help.
so, you said something about to the north of them.
Oh, I
And
apologize.
don't know if you
It's the south.
misspoke.
I misspoke. This is to the south of them.
Okay, so we're
Sorry,
talking
to the
about
north of K2 is
We're
Empire
talking about the
Boulevard.
green parking
Yes.
lot.
That's
We're not
to
talking
the
about
south.
anything between them and Empire Boulevard.
No.
Correct?
Yes.
Nothing's going to happen between them and Empire
No,
Boulevard.
no.
It's part of this.
No, that is, no, in between is a pump
The
station.
white part is potentially coming back?
Nope, that is, they're just showing that to provide context of the location. So in between K2.
So why wouldn't this parking lot go closer to K2?
Because that white area is an approved project that is currently being built. It's under construction. It is the Howitt apartments. They were built, or they were approved through the town board
Okay.
within the LaSalle's Landing zoning district
So it-
Recently.
recently.
I guess that-
I think it was
Last
December.
year.
Yeah, I think it was
of
December
last year.
that they were approved.
Maybe I did.
So that is going to be built. So in between K2's existing site, there is an apartment building that was approved. They're looking just to the south of that to provide additional parking for their business.
How far a walk is that?
Is
John?
it okay if I?
Yes.
Johnny at Tomaso. So we've been working on this project for a little over almost 3 years now, trying to get additional parking for K2. We've tried Agway for 3 years and unsuccessful doing anything with that location. Tried the old McGregor's and just didn't work with a walkway or anything. There's Dr. Howitt's project is approved. There's a 4-story, 60-unit building going where the white is, like Doug just said. They have just started the project there. They've done their tree removal, and they've actually started the white pond, the storm retention pond across the Wilbur track there. And we've been working with Dr. Howitt to try to, he owns the piece, but we have a contract with him to buy the green area there. And we're proposing to put the parking there with a valet service and full-time parking attendant. Right now, K2 has a full-time parking attendant on site if anybody goes there. But K2 is experiencing fantastic growth. They're award-winning brewery. They all live in Penfield. They would love to stay there. But with the way the parking is now, with Dr. Howitt being generous and giving them along the roadway, it's just not a safe place to park, along with Dr. Howitt starting his project. So we're trying to get parking down as close as we can, and this is the closest we can, in just a grass area now that we've enhanced with some nice, next screen has some fencing at some point that you can, that we're proposing, along with landscaping around the perimeter. And we have worked with Dr. Howitt as well to increase the stormwater retention pond, because we are, the parking is on 1.88 acres. So anything over an acre, we need to enhance the stormwater retention. So we have that worked out. Costage is the engineer, but I'm here for the group tonight, I guess, since we were number 12 on the list.
Short straw.
I got chosen. But no, I'm glad to be here to
Lucky you.
represent.
Yeah. Well, this is the best place to be in Penfield.
Yeah, I got it. I am. So we intend to, in the, sorry to make you jump back, but if you could just jump back, right in the front there where the little, I guess it's a little later where the parking is, that would be our shuttle area to drop off and pick up. And we have a little decorative bench going there, garbage area, nice trash bin.
and we'll be taking people up and down. We've kind of course, been successful at the site, but it seems that it's a great restaurant and bar, and people, play out games and all that type of stuff. And unfortunately, 6 men don't come in one car, so they all have 6 cars. So we're fighting with parking there. And the future, we have not used the second story of the building. And in the future, they anticipate doing a party house there, or party availability. They turn away a lot of events daily that they can't have there just due to the size of the parking lot that they have now. So it's a good thing to be successful, but this is one of the struggles. And this is a good opportunity for us because we got everybody on board with us as far as Dr. Howitt, as well as selling the property because it's a big investment for the K2 brewery people. Some of the comments at the planning board that we had, there's 4 neighbors on Wilbur Track. And we learned some things. One of the homeowners said that people tend to drive down there. So we didn't talk about signage, but with the board. But they said, can we do some signage? We absolutely can do some signage and try to stop them or direct them into our parking, so nobody does go down there anymore to turn around. And then whatever other signage, we'll work with whatever town board to see what we can or can't do that's, of course, inviting and gives us a good setting, but also directs people right in there along with the shuttle service.
Does K2 currently help offset the expense of maintaining Wilbur Track Road?
Right now, they do plow the front, but it's Dr. Howitt's road. So he will be redoing it with his project.
At least.
And some of the, I think the neighbors.
At least to the end of his property. Right?
I'm sorry?
At least to the end of his property.
Yeah, there's 4 neighbors in the back. I think one of them has a big plow truck that takes care of the families back there.
Right.
So is he going to take care of your part of the street there past his property then?
Yep, we're going to take care of that. And then Costage, of course, designed this with, I don't think they have snow storage noted on the map, but of course there's areas there where there's no landscaping for snow storage.
So I'm going there and I'm meeting Terry for whatever reason. Why, I don't know. But
thank you.
Yep.
I pull into the parking lot.
Yep.
Where do I stop? Like, where do I park to get the shuttle? Do I just find a parking spot and then I go stand and wait for the shuttle to take me?
Yeah, that's what we anticipate doing there.
Okay. And that shuttle run probably the busier times of their operation?
Yep. It'll run while they're open. They're not open. One of the questions at the last board was, timing of where they're. Just so you know, they're not. I just kind of pull it up here. So they're closed on Mondays, but they're open Tuesday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, open till 11, and then they close it down. So they're not open till 2 or 3 in the morning or anything like that. And they're a nice family establishment. Hopefully, everybody's attended there. So we anticipate them coming down there, waiting for their shuttle, and the shuttle will be going back and forth and picking up and dropping off along the way. And they do a really good job of, there's really no, I don't know, everybody there's no bottles to take out of the bar, so there's not a lot of garbage or anything, but the attendant usually takes care of cleanup, and it's really clean. If you guys go by there now, they do a really good job.
What about lighting on the road?
I'm sorry?
Any lighting on the road?
We haven't discussed that with the town board, but we talked about, of course, lighting the parking lot with the low lights shining down on the parking lot, so it's not reflecting
Make people
up.
feel safe. Yeah.
Right, and then whatever we could do along there. We had talked about on the next. I'm sorry, they didn't put the lights on the pole and the. Kind of looking like that being, maybe a light in each one of the blocks.
Yeah, it looks like there's 8 light poles in the parking lot.
Yeah.
How high are the poles?
I don't have that answer for you, but we'll try to make them not, I don't know the engineering term for it.
90 feet apart roughly?
John, you think they're gonna, the employees parking, are they gonna park them back there? Employees?
So if we go, we'll still we have like close to 49 parks on site. So just depending on time and day, they would even park there or park at the back.
Man, looks nice. Good.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Okay, thank you.
So the town board wants a comment and recommendation. I know that they'd like us to go out and walk the site. I don't know if anybody has done that recently. You
5
have?
times. I think I got my own parking spot actually right in front of the door.
Yeah,
So I won't need the shuttle, but thank you.
Yeah, we've been out there we've had every board for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Go out there multiple times at different times of day, Saturdays. But yeah, if you guys want to walk it.
But is this something that we can just go up on our own, or do we need to talk to somebody there, or what's the status of that?
Just past the green area that's shown here, there's the old, or I shouldn't say old, there's a road that goes up top, which, once in a while there's a bike coming down there or whatever. I think that was the emergency road.
That's the emergency road that goes up to.
Yeah, for the Bike Village neighborhood.
If you go out there, you can kind of see that. There are some stakes and things like that Dr. Howell put up, but you can kind of get a good feel for it. But everything's down low. We're not touching the hill that you see the next step there. So, it's not staked out, but I think you get a pretty good idea if you bring that plan with you.
Well, the stormwater management facility is out there, so it's pretty much right across from
Right
there.
across the
So
street.
if you can find that.
Yeah, you don't want to drive up that far, trust me, unless you got a truck.
Yeah, so that the white stormwater there, that's in place right now.
Okay.
Are you going to put stone down there, John?
Yeah, we had talked to the town board and everybody prior to the previous board. They were requesting that we didn't do pavement, more solid stone, and we're making sure that we do. That's why they want to purchase it, because they're going to do it right. So there's no divots and all that stuff that come along with that. But want to make sure it's good for our clients too, walking out of their cars with nice shoes on or whatever.
Yeah. Somebody's dumping tires down there too. I was there the other day.
I don't know if they dumped tires. I think those were there when Dr. Howitt moved some of the trees and things, I believe, but.
Oh, is that where it came
I
up
believe
from that
so. I
movement?
think they cleaned up that area.
I don't remember them there before, but I saw them there now, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that or not.
Unfortunately, it's not on our property, but,
Oh,
I'd be more than
okay.
happy, it's not, I'd be more than happy to get them out there if you want.
We'll leave that for the doctor, I guess. Okay.
And Dr. Howard's fully behind us and behind this project, and he anticipates us, of course, being a good neighbor to his 60 units there.
Now, after this, if this goes through, then you guys are going to come back for an application for the party room, or are you doing that too at the same time as?
They're not doing that at the same time right now. I believe, I'm not sure of the process. I thought we just had a town board, but now.
For incentive zoning, it is under the exclusive purview of the town board. One of the requirements under the criteria for approval in our town code is that all incentive zoning projects, while approved by while under review and for approval by the town board, are referred to the planning board for comment to be reviewed during a work session. The planning board's purview really is to provide comments and feedbacks to assist the town board in their decision.
Yeah, as an advisory board.
As an advisory board.
And the last point is we understand that there's an incentive, and we've been working with Dr. Howard on this, and I believe there's 50,000 coming from the former across the street Bellagio property. And Dr. Howard, if we buy this property from him, he is looking for a minimum contribution from the Kennedys to all go towards a turning lane into the increased turning lane on Empire Boulevard. Hope I'm saying that right.
Yep.
So there'll be a turning lane prior to the apartments going in, and this going in.
So heading south at Empire?
Yes, if you can pull up the part
So
on that.
so turning lane in the center? Or
Yeah, it's going to be a center turn lane, so you can either turn left into Brody's or whatever, or you can turn right into K2 or Agway or whatever. So the town board is requested to have a study done so that each participant that's coming in down here pays their equal share of center turn lane.
Okay.
And we're actually looking to try to extend it hopefully to the LaSalle's Landing area in front of the old McGregor's.
In the future,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was talk about that center turn lane all the way up the hill.
Well, it has been
It
put
is?
in basically,
It goes all the way up to Plank Road.
yeah, it goes up to Plank Road now since the state redid it, but it kind of dies off right by Water's Edge apartment complex, so we want to extend it further to the,
Southeast, west.
yeah,
Which will be good for the K2,
right.
as well as Dr. Howlett.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody down there.
Yeah.
Agway, even the people who live on Wilbur Track Road.
Yep,
Right? Yeah.
exactly. It'd be definitely a safer situation.
Cool. And you're all set, that's just about a done deal as far as that goes, right? You got that arrangement all?
Yep,
Great.
we've talked to
Good.
Dr. Howard. Part of our package would be to contribute to that.
Excellent.
Okay,
All right, nice job.
cool. I know that town board wants us to take a look, go out and
That's what you
visit
guys gotta do.
the site before we render any type of,
Yeah, so if you want to do it, you guys want to do individual site visits and discuss this further at the next work session, we can draft a memo after that work session and provide it to the town board for their review.
yeah, okay,
I'll be more than happy to meet anybody down there whenever you guys want to go.
okay,
Thanks.
cool.
Okay.
Okay, John,
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a good night.
So we don't have to take any, I mean, we don't have to do any action on this tonight. We're
No,
just-
it's an informal,
Just in the next, between now
2
and the next
weeks.
meeting, let's try to get out there and take a look.
I love K2. As a matter of fact, my husband and I went several weeks ago, and it was jam-packed, so we actually had to go somewhere else because we couldn't even find a parking spot. Yeah, but it's so fun there. It's a great spot.
Kids can get a soda flight.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Think
I like the
what?
beer mimosas personally on
Yeah,
Sunday.
your middle schoolers with you, they can get soda.
It's fun.
Cool. All right, anything else?
all right, one last item, back in, I believe it was December of '21, we discussed we have a held application from 2020. At that time, the
Drive.
board, 85 Sovran Drive, the board had staff send a letter to the applicant essentially saying, you needed to either revise plans or you need to know what they wanted to do, whether they were going to continue their review and do a new public hearing, or whether they were, disinterested in the project, and if so, to withdraw. We have not, despite multiple contact, we have not heard anything further from the applicant or their engineer. So with that, we have prepared a denial without prejudice due to inaction.
Okay, I think at this point in time, we've asked them countless times for some sort of update. We've gotten basically nothing. I think the property is sold to somebody else or something.
I know I've heard it's up for sale. The last action we took was in August of 2020. So it's been quite a time. From my understanding, that the property is up for sale. I don't know if anybody's bought it yet.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to deny without prejudice.
I'll second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Aken,
Aken, aye.
Kanauer,
Kanauer, aye.
Tidings.
Tydings, aye.
All right, that was the last item ahead for you guys this evening.
Cleared some things off the agenda.
Yeah.
Now what? Go home?
All right, everybody, thank you very much for your participation and your time tonight and your efforts, and we will adjourn. Have a great weekend.